Rudy's on his way here. He's the club president, so Matt and I will run the meeting until Rudy gets here, I guess. Thank you for all showing up to our annual general meeting. It's wonderful to see a big crowd again. We'll give some reports first on the last year, and I'll start off with the membership and race director's report, and then we'll get into his financials. Linda will give a report on her volunteers. Kevin will give one a little bit on social media, and Matt's got anything to say. And Rudy will be here and give a president's report. So I'll start off with our membership, seeing as I'm the membership and secretary and race director at the moment. Our membership in 2017 was a positive. We had 127 paid members of the club, of which 26 were family memberships and 99 were single memberships. And we had one non-competitive membership, which is the first time we've had one in a long time. So this brought in $9,000 in net revenue to the club. We do our memberships through Motorsports Reg. It's worked out very well. It's very easy to do, and it's actually been very good for the club because we generated some new members from other cities in the province. Compared to 2016, when we had 116 memberships, 11 family and 105 single. We had a little more family memberships this year because it's a better pricing. So that's a positive. So we're up 11 members on in our club for 2017. Also in 2017, we awarded 45 complimentary memberships to our volunteers. So anybody who volunteers at our events or does significant work for the club and we also have lifetime memberships like Gail and Uwe Turner. We have lifetime memberships for them, and so we gave out 45 complimentary memberships in 2017. We do that through Motorsports Reg too. We have a lot more volunteers than that, but those are the ones that are on Motorsports Reg, and we grant them the complimentary membership. We should see a slight increase in the complimentary membership because more and more volunteers are starting to sign up through Motorsports Reg for the Alberta Race Marshals and stuff, so we'll grant them memberships at the same time. So we discussed it as an executive, and we've decided to make no planned changes in membership structure for 2018. It's already posted on Motorsports Reg, and if you want to purchase your membership, you can please go ahead and do that. Make sure if you are buying a race license, you need a club membership first, or WCMA will kick it back and say, no, you need to buy a club membership first. So we encourage everybody to get their 2018 memberships. Any questions on membership?
Does the club sell lifetime memberships?
No.
I know some others do.
Some others do, yes. No, the policy has been never to sell a lifetime membership. We do grant lifetime memberships to long-time volunteers, but we don't sell them. Any other questions on membership? Okay, I'll move on to our race director report, which I was the race director this year, taking over for Jed Harrison, who did a wonderful job before me. So it was my first year as race director, and I was taking on the full responsibilities. The previous years I was helping Jed a little. Previous year was helping Jed a little bit just to become familiar with what had to go on in organizing the events, and even when I took over, I still had to consult with Jed because there's a lot has to be done and taken care of. So the first events of the year were the ice race season, of course. We had our winter driving and ice race school on January 20th and 21st, going into our first ice race on January 22nd. We planned on February 4th and 5th for ice race 2 and 3, February 18th and 19th for 4 and 5, and then February 25th and 26th for Lac La Biche Winter Festival of Speed. We had a very good ice building weather. Many thanks to Colin Schultz, we were able to build a great ice race track again out at Roy's Lake. The ice was one of the best we've seen in years. It was very, very hard ice. The paddock had to be built on the north side of the lake due to the snow conditions, but it worked out well. The winter and ice race driving school was a huge success last year, and we expect the same this year. We sold out the whole school, the whole 30 slots, 30 spots. Our limiting factor on spots on the winter driving and ice race school is basically our instructors. So if we can get more instructors, we will be able to take more students, but we've kind of set that number at 30 right now, and we'll have to see how our instructor registrations go for this coming year. So last year we had actually 27 students who paid $150, and we had 3 ice race rookie packages sold for the school too. So we sold it out. The Friday classroom was held in this room, and many thanks to our excellent head instructor Barry Munson, who did a wonderful job. We squeezed 30 bodies in this room. It was a little bit tight, but we can do it again. We managed to scrape together enough instructors to cover the students, and the weather cooperated, and we had a really good school. Thanks again to all the instructors who assisted, and especially to our head instructor Barry Munson. When our ice race season kicked off, Ice Race 1, which was held on the Sunday after the school, went off with no hitches. We had 19 cars total, 3 no stud rubber cars, 10 Chevettes, and 6 limited stud cars, of which 3 were neons. This year we tried something a little bit different with the Chevettes because they put in street studs in their Hankook eye pikes. We granted them 2 different classes, one which was called the regular Chevette, which was the standing start inverted grid type situation, and then we ran another class called Chevette Street Stud, which is more along the traditional lines of racing where you lined up as rolling starts, and it seemed to work well. The series ran well, but there was still some difficulty with the street studs pulling out of the Hankook eye pikes, even with the Chevettes. So by the end of the season, a lot of people were running with very few street studs left in their tires. So the new Chevette spec tire eventually turned out to be a bit of a disappointment. Some people were able to keep them in a little bit longer than others, but overall it was a disappointment for everybody. And this year was the first year we ran with the new specified bolted tire hardware and specified construction. And despite the difficulties in getting the tires shaved, it was a very good success. I was trying to think back of anybody who had a flat or a tire failure, and nobody did through the whole season. So all the people who built new tires, they lasted really well. So amazingly well. So that is going to be our spec continuing, and hope to build a whole bunch more tires. And I have all the hardware in my garage, and we ordered a whole bunch more hardware. So we need to get it sold and get some tires built.
Do you find the hardware to be very consistent? Every batch you buy?
Absolutely. It's the best hardware I've seen. Shipping is amazing. It comes out of Ontario. I get it within a week, shipped right to my door. Just an amazing experience so far. It's top-notch quality hardware. So.
You're not losing any fasteners without welding?
Pardon me?
You're not losing the fasteners without welding?
Nope, not at all. They got the nylock nuts on them.
They're Stover nuts, I think.
Stover nuts.
Stover nuts, yes.
Yeah.
Steel Stover.
Because the nylock spun right off.
Yeah, sorry, the Stover
Stover
nuts.
nuts.
Yeah, they didn't come off at all. Well, I had one come off, and that's because I didn't tighten it. It's my fault.
What's the original application for the hardware?
Fender bolts.
Just fender bolts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I built the 2 Chevette tires and beat them up too a bunch, and I didn't even put glue or anything in them, and they still hold there just like I put them together, 10 months ago.
I brought one of my tires into the last meeting for show and tell from last year. Still has 30 pounds of air in it.
Yeah.
And I was running 4, as Mike knows, I was running 4 to 8 tires a weekend.
John, did you use a sealant on them when you built them?
Yes, yeah. Urethane, windshield urethane, just wrapped around windshield urethane.
I did it intentionally with no sealant, just to see how it worked, and not that I would build them that way.
Yeah, I put the sealant on just in case.
Just to see how well the hole worked. That when the thread of the bolt makes its own, I shouldn't say it makes its own hole, but it certainly fits tight on the hole, tighter than any drilled and bolted tire.
So,
Just sealant on the inside of the washer.
I seal the inside, no, but that's just me.
so
I think
move,
inside would be adequate.
okay, moving on. Race 2 and 3 of our ice race season went off as scheduled. We had similar car counts. One or two, we gained one and lost one, I think. The track held up very well, given the ice was in good shape. But soon after ice race 2 and 3, we had quite a few unseasonably warm days in a row. If anybody went out to the lake during those days, it was water, and there was a lot of melting going on, and it basically caused the track to be unusable for the next races, which were on February 18th and 19th. Because we had Lac La Biche right after that, we decided to reschedule till after Lac La Biche, which is March 4th and 5th. So we had the Lac La Biche Winter Festival of Speed the next weekend. Another fantastic success, a top run, fantastic event. And that went off with no problems. When we came back from Lac La Biche, we tried to get our track at Roy's Lake back in shape. It was too far gone. A lot of the banks had become so hard we couldn't move them. There was big ice chunks and big blocks of ice that just couldn't move. So we actually declared that the track was unsafe to run ice races on. So we decided to hold on our last day, which was the ice race celebration on Sunday, March 5th, which wasn't an official race day, but was a kind of an unofficial ice race celebration day where we had ride-alongs for volunteers, family and friends, and open lapping, and it turned out to be a really nice day, just so you could thank everybody who was involved. I think everybody who went out that day had a lot of fun. I know the Landon's family and friends had lots of use of that cars and track. We also had a food truck and a fire pit that was brought out on site. And the day turned out very well, and may consider doing it again in the future. So overall, the ice race season had some ups and downs, and financially there was a small profit made on the season, but that was mostly due to the very well attended school, because our ice race participant count was down again, but we're trying to build it back, and we think we got a winner with the new bolted tires, and as long as we can keep the Chevettes coming out and entice some more rubber cars out, I think we'll do fine. But it was a bit of a challenge again. We didn't hold an ice race banquet this year. We have all the trophies for 2017, and I'm getting all the other trophies engraved, and we will be distributing at the first event of 2018. We can have a little bit of a ceremony during our first ice race event, and people can brag about how well they did from the previous year and show off all the trophies and brag about it. We also had the Edmonton Rally Club use our track at Roy's Lake for 4 days, and we charged them a maintenance fee of $350 a day. So we generated income of $1,400, and the ERC also supplied porta potties for the entire season for theirs and the NASCC's use at the track. So that turned out very well.
Mark, what was the reason for no banquet?
We ran out of time organizing it. You weren't around. You were our go-to guy for the banquet.
Ouch!
That was
We had the late season, right? And
It was
kind of like we had to rush
And
to
we're
get.
getting into the road racing season.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had basically one weekend that we could have done it, and it didn't work.
Oh, okay.
and you weren't around.
I was in India.
He's not gonna let
that go.
So moving on now to summer.
Maybe just one observation on the winter. I found in recent memory, all memories, that visibility I think was a bigger challenge than it had been in the past. Sounds like maybe
Last
there
year was a challenge with visibility, both in Lac La Biche sometimes and here.
Minus 5,000 Lac La Biche.
It sounds like maybe some more plowing could have been done between the races. I think in the Chevettes, I noticed it quite a bit. I'm not sure about the other classes, so if it was maybe, you know, just because of our car counts or tires or conditions or bad luck, or but it was just, I guess, one observation from this past season.
Well noted. Okay, anything else on winter season before we get on to summer season? Moving on.
Rules package for that.
It's on the website. We'll be talking about it more later.
Okay.
And talk to a lot of people here. They'll be able to help you out. Not to discount that, but we'll talk some more about that later. Okay, moving on to the summer road race season. We had 5 dates at Castle Raceway. May 6th and 7th was the WCMA Competition License School. June 3rd and 4th was our River City Motors season opener. July 22nd and 23rd was our Beulah.ca Spec Miata celebration. August 26th, 27th was the Fast Tech Performance Tire Formula Festival. And September 23rd and 24th was our Subway Historic Tribute and GT race. This year we decided to go with themed road race events, and for the most part they worked well, and we look forward to building on these themes. I think looking at them, the dates we have for Castle this year, I think will work well again. So we'll just review that and see if we'll continue doing the themes, but I think it worked well, and see if we can build on those themes. We welcome back our previous sponsors, which was Beulah, Fast Tech, and Subway, and we welcomed a new weekend sponsor, which was River City Motors. Thanks to all our weekend sponsors for their generous support, and we hope to have them all back next year. And a special thanks goes out to Nelson Renz for organizing our trophies and working with all our sponsors.
RT
What's that?
supplies with the Wi-Fi.
Oh, and yes, R&T Network, sorry, for the Wi-Fi.
Thank you.
But that's every race.
Every race, yeah.
RT, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas these are just specific. Yeah. The only problem with naming them is it was easier with Jed, just 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I have to pay attention.
You have to be on the ball, Nelson.
Shut up, Nelson.
I'd like to thank Linda Sakaluk for stepping up to be the acting race director for the September race weekend while I was off in Asia enjoying myself. And
How does it go?
oh, amazing. Formula One events are the best to go to.
After race events.
You were actually wondering about the race. How'd the race go?
He doesn't know.
And thanks to Linda for organizing all the workers all year, and because it took a lot of work off my plate. I don't know how Jed did it before and doing all of that, so that really helped out.
And did we get thank yous to all the sponsors?
Yeah, we haven't decided yet what we're going to do.
I remember doing posters and stuff, but was that this past year or the year before?
The year before.
Yeah, they did get all their posters. All of them got posters before their event, so they had them. The only one that got delivered a little bit late was Peter Spencer's, and that's because he was out of town. So,
yeah, we haven't decided what we're going to do this year, but
yeah.
we're open to ideas on that. We did have a very good renewed interest in vintage racers registering this year, which was really nice to see, and we're pleased to have them back and look forward to having them return next year. We were quite surprised by that, but they're very welcome, and it helped with our financials a little bit. We also had a great turnout for open wheel cars for our Formula Festival in August. It was great to see that many open wheel cars out, and we hope again they return this August and keep us on their schedule. Spec Miata had a strong contingent of our racers. It was about the same entries as the previous year. We gained a couple, lost a couple, and we hope to gain them back next year in Landon. So hopefully we'll keep that class growing. The big disappointment this year from a club and especially from WCMA side was the ST and PT class entries were very disappointing this year. Even though we had 3 rookie races in those classes, our registrations were down a lot in those classes, and we're still trying to figure out why a lot of them races weren't coming back. So we're still trying to accumulate all the names, but that was our biggest surprise this year, was our loss of a lot of entrants in those classes. So,
Any thoughts? Like, was it?
no, we need to do a survey, I think eventually. We're talking about doing a survey of the classes.
It's in the draft stages, but it's turning out to be kind of long, so.
It was the second year of STPT, or was it the first year of STPT?
Second year. So overall, our first and last race weekends, which was the June and September of the year, were very disappointing for registrations, and that was a bit of a surprise to us. So overall, our revenue for the whole year of summer racing was down over $8,000 over 2016, which is a big chunk of change, and Sean will be talking about that later. The downward trend in ST and PT cars racing is a major concern to us as a club and should be as a region. We cannot continue to lose money on events at the rate we're doing without significantly raising fees or having more entrants, and my preference would be more entrants. Raising fees could be troublesome, and we could risk losing more races because of it. So a lot of you are aware our rental rates at Castrol are very high, and we feel we're kind of at the threshold at the top end where we can charge entrance, and we don't want to boost our entrance fees, but we can't continue to lose money on summer racing at Castrol. So that's my race director's report. I'm going to pass it over to somebody else to give their report. I think it's Linda's turn. So get off your phone.
I'm getting dates out of
Sorry,
emails.
yes, Gail.
Before you go, was a letter of thanks sent to Paul Conquest for giving us his facility for free for our banquet?
We haven't sent him a letter, no, but it was definitely conveyed to him personally.
Yeah, me too.
So, do we want to send him an actual
Oh, absolutely,
letter?
we should, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Do you want to give your report, Linda?
Yep. Just a sec. Okay, volunteers over the 2017 season started out with ice racing. We had an adequate number of volunteers for all of the races. By adequate, I mean at least one per corner every weekend. We could definitely use more people to volunteer for ice racing if they don't mind getting a little cold. Anyways, some people enjoy that, some don't. Throughout the summer road race season, we had a good turnout for volunteers for all the events there. Thank you to ARM, Alberta Race Marshals, for organizing the marshals for most of the events. And we also had stewards, volunteers throughout the season that we need to thank for coming out to all the ice races and the road races. And our timing and scoring people, and Jim Trahan for taking care of the refreshments for everyone throughout the course of the season, and all the people from CMRT who come out and provide their services and equipment to us throughout the season. And
Our grid person.
yeah, she does some work too. And Andy, who is our clerk of the course for the majority of the events. And who else am I missing?
Oh, a whole bunch of people. Because it takes an enormous amount of people to put on racing events and volunteers, and they all are volunteers, truly. So we really appreciate all our volunteers, and there's probably a lot of people we missed, so don't be offended if we missed you.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to name any specific.
Sue and Gail, timing and scoring?
Yeah, we
And
got that.
forget those ladies.
Yeah, I said timing scoring.
Oh.
Because I was looking right at Gail when I said that.
I don't do any of the timing, I just, except for ice racing, and I just...
You're a big health gal. You do
Yeah,
a lot.
oh yeah, Brian Sinfield was
Yeah.
doing all the stuff for the ice racing this year too.
I do odds and sods stuff.
And we couldn't do it without you, Gail. And we finished our negotiations with Castrol Raceway, so we do have dates set with them for next year. Can I announce those now?
I see, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so our race school will be May 5th and 6th. First race weekend will be May 19th, 20th, which is the long weekend. Second race weekend will be June 23, 24. Third weekend will be August 25th, 26th, and the final will be September 29th and 30th. And it's our turn to host the runoffs this year, so that will be the runoffs. We're specifically having it that late in September because Winnipeg has their last race weekend the weekend prior, and we would like as many people from Winnipeg to come as possible for that. And I've also been asked by the Edmonton Rally Club to read this message. See, this is why I need my phone, Mark, sorry.
I'll just talk about the schedule a little bit. The negotiations with Castrol were long. We tried our best to try and get the best dates we could. It's one of the stipulations Castrol gave us this year was we had to take a long weekend. We weren't very happy about it, and unfortunately we had to choose between the worst of them, well, the best of them, I guess. And unfortunately, the one we chose was Knox Mountain Hill Climb long weekend. So there will be a little bit of angst with that and a little bit of trouble, but we think that's probably the best alternative for us. You notice we don't have a race in July, so we won't have an event, a race in July, and just the way it worked out. And
Chump Car has announced their date.
Yeah, Chump Car has announced July 28th and 29th as their dates, and there is also a race weekend in Winnipeg in July, so we'll probably get a lot of people going to that. And in return, hopefully we'll get a lot of the Winnipeg competitors coming to our September race weekend. So not good news on the race date front, but they're the only game in town and they kind of hold us hostage, so it's unfortunate. But Linda did the best we could, and that's what we're stuck with.
Has anybody ever asked Jay about holding a race at his place?
Yeah, wouldn't happen.
No.
That's couldn't get it.
Oh, it has to be sanctioned?
Yeah, and yeah.
For a lot of reasons, it would never happen for sound more than anything. So.
Yeah. But
so it wouldn't happen
Sound.
from whose perspective?
Oh. Yeah.
We've got neighbors that.
His neighbors don't mind at all.
Yeah, I talked to him about having a race there. And he was like,
so
concerned about sound.
But it wouldn't happen because of
It
insurance?
sure be
or
nice.
because
It
of-
sure be nice as a little bit of a counter to Castrol's.
well, we're
hammer.
certainly hoping that the Kirsters track gets built next year, and we can certainly use that as a little bit of leverage and even look at using that more often, because we can't continue the way we're going.
Yeah.
It's just
That's why I was thinking if you could squeak one little event out at Jay's, even if it was a smaller event.
I don't know if it's going to make that much difference, though, Landon. It's
Well,
just-
we have been discussing too about doing smaller, not during the regular race series, but smaller social events to really bring the whole community together, to bring like ASA and ERC and like everyone, just get everyone doing stuff. Like maybe it won't be an actual race weekend, but kind of like how he does his exotic or the strange car shows, stuff like that. But to have more of that kind of stuff in between, so that there's, especially like when we don't have the month we don't have races, right? So even like with Chump Car, trying to figure out ways to integrate NASCC with Chump Car to sort of, they done their thing, but we can spread the word about the club and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Thank you. Jay was willing to make his course available for some sort of event like that. I think it's well worth it, even if it's just a social event, just to, do
a
a
social event, yeah.
to approach him on it.
Yeah.
Well, even a Miata race.
Yeah.
Would be good.
Anyway, let's try to stay on topic
Yes.
here. So those are the dates. They will be posted soon, and they'll be forwarded to the WCMA. So you had something else?
Yeah,
Linda?
the Edmonton Rally Club would like everyone to know that they have a rallycross scheduled at Bill's Field out near the Leduc number 1 oil well on this Sunday, November the 19th, and another one on December 16th and 17th. And the ERC is also having their Frozen Loon Winter Navigational TSD rally on Saturday, December 2nd, which starts with a pancake breakfast at the Brazeau Dam, runs through Drayton Valley and back to Blackjack's Roadhouse in Nisku. That event's open to all street legal vehicles on open roads with participants in teams of 2 or more. Studded winter tires and skid plates are recommended. For more information, see edmontonrallyclub.ca. And the Edmonton Rally Club looks forward to working with the new NASCC executive, which will be in place after our election tonight.
Okay. Moving on to The news?
I'm it.
You're it.
Okay, I'm gonna hand out these. I got some financial numbers here. It's not the typical financial year-end with financial statements that I typically do up, because when I, can you pass those out one for everybody, please? Pass those along, please. When I agreed to this date of the 15th of the month to do the financial reporting, I thought we were talking about the 15th of December, not the 15th of November. Due to the fact that I got the bank statement today, it was kind of hard to prepare a financial report. So this is what I have, and once everybody gets this, I'll go over it. So now these are all big numbers, broad strokes. I have detailed financial information here if anybody wants to ask a particular question, but the bottom line is the club lost $18,117.06 on operations for the year. I'll go through this, that's the bottom line. I'll go through one line at a time. Our opening, and this is all based on cash in hand. This is not a balance sheet. It's just a statement of cash. So when we started the year, we had $197,000 in the bank, $197,044. And on the bank statement I got today, our closing bank balance was $177,266.62. You guys can all see the numbers there. The difference is $19,733 between our opening balance and our closing bank account. Now, that's not a loss per se, because during the year we made some purchases and acquired some equipment. We bought a C-can for Castro, that's located at Castro for storing our stuff. It was $3,500. We spent $2,218.91 on our fire extinguishers, having them recertified. We bought a new computer for Facebook, social media, and we spent $500 in parts for it, which puts the loss at $12,117.06. But there are still two. I got a bill after the. I just received a bill from CMRT for. Typically, we make a donation to CMRT for their services. It's $5,000, and the year-end barbecue wind up at Castro. I got a bill for that, and it was approximately that was $980, and I got another bill from Castro for $120 or something for water on the season. I just got that bill today as well, as a matter of fact. So the barbecue was paid by donations from WCMA and ARCA. So we have the money, but it's still coming out of the revenue went in, and the money may pay the bill has to come out. So that's why the $1,000 is on the bottom line. Matt asked me about that earlier. So, which makes for an $18,000 loss on the season through our regular running of the season. The biggest reason is just that our entries are down. Our entry numbers are down. Last year we had 219 participants in our events, and this year we had 200. So right away there was that's $500 times 19. That's $8,000 right there in loss. So the bottom line is we need to get more people out to the events, and that's a snapshot in bold strokes of where we are financially. Go ahead, Nelson.
Sean, so you said this wasn't the final one though, so is this gonna change much between
No.
now and the actual?
Well, they come with a balance sheet, a proper financial report. I do up the balance sheet as well. This is just based on cash. I told other members of the executive I couldn't do the financial reporting tonight to give them the full, proper, the papers that we normally, it's not a balance sheet. It's not a financial statement.
The only
It's
thing
just-
missing is assets though.
Pardon? It's missing the assets, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the club dyno, club truck, trailers, but the dollars and cents of operations, loss incurred during the normal operations over the year was $18,000, give or take a few bucks.
But it doesn't show the accumulated income from the various activities.
No.
So you'll have that on a more detailed statement.
Well, the accumulated income was a loss. There was no accumulated income.
Well, no, your ice
A
racing
breakdown per
generated some
event.
income, road racing generated some income.
Yeah.
The bottom line is just a cash reduction overall at the end of the year was 18,117.
That's correct.
At one point earlier in the season, Mark provided us with some numbers.
Based on the ice racing.
You had the road race numbers too.
Yeah.
And the first event was a significant loss, over 6,000. Second event, just barely $244 positive. And the third event was 38.24 positive. And then the fourth event, I think,
Was another $6,000 loss. It's this one here. Fourth event,
That's just the
$6,054, basically, loss of revenue over 2016. It's not a loss on the event, it's a loss of revenue over from last year.
A
So,
difference in revenue.
difference in revenue.
But was it, what was the actual loss?
We don't know for sure until we can get the more detailed stuff and the.
Well, that's it, we're looking at, it's in that $18,000-$20,000
Yeah,
range.
for summer racing, my guess is we lost $25,000 because we made about a profit of $4,000 on the ice racing. So the rest of it has to be associated with summer racing, I think.
Yeah. I did kind of my own statistical analysis of competitors, and I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sedans alone that should have shown up at some point in the season last year and just didn't for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Every two more competitors is another $1,000 plus or minus on the year, right?
No, per event.
Per event, yeah.
So 4,000.
Yeah, okay, we look at it that way. But I was looking at total numbers here. This year we had 200, we had 220. We did $10,000 to be good.
Yeah, I didn't, when Jed always told me we're running on the thin edge, I didn't believe it, but now I do know we're on the thin edge. We're right on that cusp. If we lose 10, 15 entries, we're a big loss. If
Yes.
we're gain 10, 15 entries, we'd make a little bit of money.
So
So,
five racers over the course of the year is the loss that we had.
yeah, yes,
Per
Nelson.
event.
Sean and Mark, so next year I can probably save us $600 because, as you know, a couple of sponsors don't pick up the cost for the bumper for the champagne or sparkling wine, whatever you want to call it. So maybe next year we don't do that.
I think to look after the hundreds and the thousands will look after themselves, but bottom line is we need to get more people in.
Oh, I know, I agree, but there's another,
Yeah.
sort of $600.
And we talked about ways to save a few $100 here and there. I mean, all the cost saving measures we talked about are going to save us a few $100,
Yeah.
not tens of thousands of
No,
dollars.
I agree.
It's just not there to cut. It's run as, the events, hello Rudy.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
The events, given with the volunteer workforce that we have, the events are run about as lean as they possibly can. And other than the fact that we pay a significant price for water and beverages from Castro, but we're obliged to buy from them.
Why?
Because they mandate it.
Because they own the track. Their track, they do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Their track, their rules.
Yeah, the water we,
Wow, everybody, in the drag pits and the circle tracks brings their own beverages in.
oh yeah, you can bring your
personally,
own, but for us to provide for the volunteers and such, we have to purchase them from Castro. We can't.
This was a major sticking point in years past, so. On the other tracks, the volunteers are volunteering to Castro themselves, not to a rental organization, so that's why they allow them.
yeah, that is brutal. We probably spent $600 on water this year.
How about we pass out our own water before the weekend, people drag it in themselves.
We talked about that, and there was all kinds of talk about doing it, and when it comes down to it, we're not able to have to buy from, they're sponsored, Dennis, Dasani. They want to see the Dasani bottles in every volunteer's hand. Same with the beer. We buy the beer, we give away, we buy the beer from them as well.
So the best option is revenue generation through haranguing our fellow competitors, including myself, to show up.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had some discussions on what to do, and I think that's the best way moving forward is to guilt people into coming out to race. For now.
How about just making fun instead of
There's a
we are working, we are trying to work hard to generate new interest in racers, but it's a tough slog, and it takes 2 to 3 years to generate new interest. We're just quite shocked by our decline in certain areas this year, And we certainly hope it doesn't happen next year. And we definitely don't want to raise fees because I think that'll just make it worse. So we'll try and see if we can generate more people coming out. John, you had something?
I have had discussions with ASA to see if they can utilize our lunch hour. And they're polling their members and will come back to us for a detailed discussion.
There's a huge problem with that, isn't there? Lapping at our events.
It won't be a lapping event. It'll be a solo event.
Well, you know who will make an issue out of that no matter what.
Yeah, good luck.
Doesn't matter what you call it.
Space is also a premium.
Well, they're doing it anyway. It's almost association is renting the track anyway.
Yeah, they just would be setting up, being able to preset for their event in the evening too, so the stuff's
It
staged.
does take about an hour to set up, of course, for the ASA events.
Yeah.
So it's,
A lunch break isn't ideal. We get the track set up. And
We're working with them to have something that makes it attractive for them and for us. So if we can utilize it.
Yeah, all for it. If we can make it work. There's some logistics involved in it though.
Yeah.
Next.
Okay, anything else financially? Anybody got any other questions for now? There, like we said, there will be a detailed financial statement, hopefully ready for December meeting that we'll be able to.
just one quick question, and maybe that'll be answered by that detailed statement, but just from looking at what we've got here, there's a change in the cash position and some expenditures. What that implies is that the actual racing was neutral. Like, we covered off all the other expenses from the money that was taken in. Otherwise, there's some large amount of payables still on our books that we need to pay out still.
No, we can pay $6,000 outstanding to CM,
Yeah.
but that's the only thing that's left outstanding. But this loss is real. This is real.
Well, I know what I'm saying. It sounds like with actual racing, if all the expenses associated with racing were covered by all the revenue that was generated by racing, then this is the only loss. Otherwise, we'd have some other loss present here, right? All the difference in those two numbers is accounted for in those capital expenditures.
No, it's not.
No, we basically lost at least $10,000 on the summer racing season.
We lost.
The capital expenditures don't equal 12 or 18,000.
We lost $18,000, 177. I don't know how else to say it. We lost $18,117.
What he's saying is these fixed expenses aren't, so if you take the difference there, that's.
you only lost 11.
6.
The CCAN, the fire extinguishers, those are capital purchases.
Yeah.
Right, so those are not ongoing, repeatable operating expenses. But as far as a reduction of money in the bank, certainly it's an expense, but it's an offsetting asset. So,
Yes.
so the bottom line is, after it's all said and done, you had $197,000 at the start and 177 at the end through operating losses and some capital purchase. You're down cash of 18,117. So we need more competitors to make that up, even if there aren't going to be $7,000 worth of capital expenses.
The two $6,000 loss weekends add up perfectly.
Yeah.
Make it zero.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So we got to get more competitors.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other?
Jim,
Seats up here.
I have the general ledger here, if you want to have a look at it.
No, I just wanted to try to understand. Your detailed statement will probably.
No, it won't be any more details than this. This is the most detail we have right here. You're welcome to look at it.
Yes, Barry.
Changing the topic slightly, have you guys done an expense projection for this coming year, including, these capital expenditures here are kind of large, and what I'm wondering is that, do you guys plan for those expenditures in the coming year, and if there are any more coming up this year, what are they?
We don't do cost forecast. We haven't done cost forecasting or anything like that. I don't foresee any major,
The truck.
The truck, yeah. The truck is the, other than the truck.
Truck, and we're gonna need radios.
And the radios need to be discussed between us and ARM and ARCA. Ish.
You're 16.
So as treasurer and in the loss position, I'm for spending no money. None.
Sean is tight.
But I guess I don't have the last word on that. I mean, obviously, we'll have expenses during the year. Typically, this year was a big year buying a C-Cam. $3,500 was a big expense for us, but I think it was a value to have it there. I mean, our poor little club trailer was grossly overloaded. It was unsafe to be on the road. It was so grossly overloaded. So the expenditure of the C-Cam, I don't see an expenditure of that nature. And again, this is not a balance sheet. This is just cash.
But of the 18,000, how much was capital expenditure?
7.
So we
30.
lost roughly 11 on operations.
That's right.
11 to 12.
12.
12,117.
Two $6,000 weekends.
Yeah.
Well, revenue in total was, for road racing, was down 7,800 this year over last year.
But it doesn't really matter over last year as much as it matters over what the expenses were.
That's right.
But we don't, the down 6,000 was over last year. That wasn't a profit loss by event. That was just delta over the.
We had 219 entries last year, and we had 200 this year, so we're down 19 times 500 is $8,500.
And back to Barry's question, one thing we can say for next year, the fees that we were charged by Castrol to use the track will be staying the same as they were for 2017.
Which is $15,000 a week in case anybody's wondering. Jesus. $7,500 a day. $1,000 an hour.
Bargain,
It's $1,000 an hour to be on that track. That's why I think the suggestion of ASA, if they can use the track and we can make some money to make up that $1,000. $1,000 times 4 weekends is $4,000. I mean, it's grade 8 math. It's not that
We
complicated.
have to share half of it with Castrol.
I mean,
Yeah, because you guys are
Okay,
already
we're getting
doing your
off,
own racing
Yeah.
with Castrol, right? Yeah.
we're getting off topic here. Bottom line is we lost 18 grand.
Okay, any other questions or we can move on? Nope. Okay, Rudy's here.
Sorry to make you wait. Highway 2 sucks.
So we have 2 more reports to give. Rudy's got his president's report, and Kevin's got a little bit on social media, and then we can get on to the more important things of elections. So,
Why don't we do Kevin's thing first?
okay.
Okay, I have a little handout. You guys can look at the details. It's printed really fine, so it's impossible to read anyway. I apologize. I only have a crappy printer, but you can just kind of take one and spread them out. But anyway, it's I'll be quick about this. It's just pretty simple. Our target, just to remind everyone what our target was for this last year, was to rebrand Facebook and establish our official page on Facebook, and then to get more presence on the social media platforms. We tried a bunch of different things. Mainly was to get likes and to increase club exposure so people know we're out there racing. We did slightly different marketing approaches to each event. We have pretty good data on which type of marketing works on Facebook, what doesn't. So, and then we were able to put our, we wanted to put our stuff live stream. So we have a system now for that. So our main successes were, we did get our likes and follows in Facebook. So we have people know about our stuff, which means our marketing budget in Facebook is a lot better spent.
Sorry to interrupt, is there any more? We don't have any.
No, they're just to glance over, they're not.
You can pass them around.
Yeah, the details are, the reason why we have to get them back after, because there is, although all club information is available if anyone wants to see it, I try to keep it down, the information control for when we need sponsors and stuff like that. I don't want to give too much information out publicly of what our demographics are and stuff like that. So there's a lot of information in there hidden on the pages that are good for advertising and stuff like that. So but anyway, back to that. So basically, we discussed the budget. There's some corrections to make on like the budgeting, because I can't remember what I thought the budget was not what the budget was, but we still came in like right around where we're supposed to anyway. So so the successes, yeah, our rebranding seems to have worked. We have target, people see our stuff, people know on Facebook. We do have people that watch YouTube live. We get questions sometimes posted that I can take online if people can't make it here. All the meetings are archived on there. At the end of the year, they're all properly formatted and stuff like that, because to live stream it's not easy to pump stuff out complete at the end. You have to still like tweak it and stuff like that when it gets uploaded there. we found the number one, well, I've always known this, but just verified, the number one advertising for the club comes from video posts, short videos. So I'm always looking for video data from anyone, from in-car, stuff like that, to make like promo videos like that. We're gonna have the ice race preschool is gonna be filmed, which is gonna go through the basics of buying or building a car, what you have to look for, what everything, all the steps are to get into racing, for ice racing, and then how our ice race day goes. So that'll be, I think on the 28th. It's it's posted online though, so the actual things. You can come to it if you're a seasoned veteran for ice racing. You're welcome to come just to see what it's about. So stuff. So and then the other success thing is we tried some social activities. We think that that's working. I mean, I noticed from studying in American racing groups like that, the marketing and the event is no longer about 100% just doing the racing. People want to come for racing. They want to have a barbecue after. They want to have dance. We're trying to like make it, especially if you're coming up to race in Edmonton, to make it like it's a weekend destination kind of thing where you have stuff to do all weekend while you're here. So to encourage people to make, if they want to come on a long weekend, that they can actually have a good time here for the whole time without having to worry about stuff to do. So the only things that weren't super effective is our advertising wasn't very good at the beginning, because your likes and your followers are who get the most use of your advertising, and we didn't have any at the beginning because we had a group and not a page, and it's complicated for that kind of stuff, but we set that up. We don't have a lot of YouTube subscription people. We have people that watch the videos, but we don't have people that like subscribe to get notifications. So that's something I'm trying to like work on with that, and also to tie into Instagram. But we have to increase the team for that kind of stuff. We don't have a physical presence for the club at local events here, like a booth with like information and like stuff. So that's what we're going to work on this year. We spent the money to get the computer and the setup to do live streaming. So now we hopefully can budget next year to put together some sort of physical advertising, maybe give out vinyl stickers and stuff like that, because there's just some costs involved with the stickers we have now and pricing. So we're trying to make more advertising for less money. So yeah, but that's the successes and failures, and the plan, I guess, just the plan for next year is to keep getting more people to like the page, to share. There's still a lot of people that follow the page that don't like it, so it's, I'm not quite sure. Just double check, make sure actually you've liked the page, because a lot of people are like, oh, I thought I did, but they didn't. So that kind of stuff, we might have to do some modifications for like a new logo design going on with the WCMA, this simplification, to try to, because they did their redesign to kind of incorporate all racers. They had an issue they were talking about, like with having open-wheeled race cars as their logo, but people thinking that it's only open-wheeled racing, so they've done that. We have to look at making our logo maybe a little bit simpler and easier to make stickers and stuff like that for. But that's another thing to follow this year, just to grow our Instagram and Facebook live feed kind of stuff, guys, to like contribute, because Facebook now allowed me to, I can deputize people who have access to post stuff live, who no longer have to bring me the stuff. They can just stream right from the racetrack right onto our page, and I don't have to do anything with it. You just have to be someone that we can trust and give them a guideline to do that with. But there's that stuff. Purchase, like I said, to purchase the physical setup, to have a booth that we can give members to go set up if they're doing a car show or going to go to Driven or stuff like that. They show up and we get the club and we hand out information, make the people know that we're out there. We were going to expand sort of like the interaction between clubs like ERC, ASA, to try to like have us commingle and push people between our groups, because sometimes people can't afford to road race, so they can keep in the racing game by doing other types of racing. And sometimes people, you know, they're top of their class all the time and they're in like ERCs and they'd like to come do door-to-door competitive stuff. We can set up mentors and all that kind of stuff, and working with teams so that we just get more people out there. So I like to do a YouTube library of like these builds, like maybe finds people that are doing a race car build and document it, put it up there. All the classroom this year will be recorded. The whole thing will be put on YouTube. The preschool thing will be put on YouTube, so you don't have to, if you can't make it, you can still watch it and share it out. That kind of stuff. And then also like I've noticed the online forums used to be pretty big, but we're working with WCMA to have like a unified forum structure. We still have our website, we still have our Facebook, but the forums will all try to go through one area, one website through the WCMA kind of stuff. So it's still up in the air how effective it is, but it takes a load off of us for like moderating and stuff like that. So, but that's basically the social media status. I don't know, I'm sure people have seen the ads and stuff now. So, and it's reaching out, and like this is being live streamed. So if anyone has any questions for that specific or ideas or anything they want to share.
So Kevin, you mentioned about changing the logo, so we're gonna change our club logo officially, or what?
No, it would be, it's like a, how do you put it, like a sub logo. Like we have our main logo, but it's multicolor. It has a lot of fine detail. It's really expensive to cut in vinyl without getting a die cut in huge batches, and it's for us to, we do like almost like a homebrew runs where we have like only like 100 or 200 at a time that we really need to order. We don't really get good pricing with that. So it's just like a kind of like a, we take aspects of our current logo and just simplify it down, but we'll still keep the original logo as our main stuff, but just for smaller things, it's just
that's a registered trademark too.
Yeah, so like we probably, well, not probably, when we do the simplify one and we want like that, we'll make that another logo that is part of it. So, but it's just one of the many things to discuss throughout the year. Nothing's set in stone on that stuff.
So more of an event logo or more of a internet logo?
Yeah, internet, like for sticker for your car. We can give people that aren't racing. If you're a member and come to the race, yeah, you get the official.
Because we do have those in sticker form too.
Yeah, they're very expensive.
Yeah.
So they are very expensive.
They're almost like $1 each, which is, you know, if you give 200 of them out, that's a lot of money, right? Where we can get 1,000 vinyl stickers cut for almost the same price, right? So, but anything else? You can always talk too. You can message on Facebook and other stuff.
So silk screened stickers are expensive on a square stock. That same NASCC logo.
Well, it depends. There's silk screening and then there's actual cutting vinyl. So silk screening's easier to do, but you can't just like, to print full colored stickers, there's quite a bit of difference in the pricing. Yeah, I can go into detail with it after.
Well, I just had them done before, big stacks of them. They were quite reasonable. I just wonder what's so unique about this one.
Yeah, it depends on the number of colors you want. Like we can get them, but we're looking in the range of like 20 to 30 cents for one when we like get them, and for us to get them down, that price is not.
I ordered these in the past, and the reason why they're expensive is because you buy a high quality decal that doesn't fade and doesn't crap out in 2 seasons on your car, right? So that's why the NASCC ones are expensive, because they have a unique die cut to fit the knockoff style. But you know, we don't change that logo very often. So honestly, when we order them, we order 1,000 and get the price point where we need it to be.
It all depends. Like I even from month to month pricing.
Yeah.
The pricing. There's always there's also new stuff. There's people that offer stuff online. You can order.
Well, yes, but if you're gonna die cut them, and you've already spent the money to get the die cut, you should be getting them from the same place again.
Yes.
Yeah, we did just recently get some,
Yeah.
but they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, we still want to have like those type available for the competitors, but I say it's something to give out at like our booths and stuff like that. And even like to. It's
not something you hand out to the general public. That's
yeah, I just want.
But like those ones I had cut for R&T are not expensive. They're 70 cents each or something. So.
Yeah, it's like I said, the number of colors. We have quite a few colors and a lot of detail on the logo, and just try to.
Okay, let's move on.
That's good. Could I interject for a second? All the financial data, guys, I want those papers back.
We'll take all the all the social media stuff too. I can take back too.
want yours back too.
Yeah, wait.
You can see it whatever, but
Doesn't matter.
Gotta go back.
They can never stay. Seriously.
He can fight with Sean later. Yeah.
No,
All right, I've already written on this.
this one's gotta come back.
I don't want that floating around. I'm willing to share it with the club, but it does the club is.
Yeah, like even these ones, I'll take them back. If you need to take a sheet off, I can rip a sheet off of it. It's fine, but.
Okay, 1, 2.
I'm missing two still.
Nelson.
Mine is the one that's written.
Nelson's is right there.
They fucking
Do you want to
stole
read
it
my
from me, so they-
There's two more of mine out there, but I'll grab them after.
On a piece of paper.
Well, I have one of yours, Kevin, here, I'm just.
Oh, it has nothing to do
I'll give
with the financial.
No, but he wrote something on it.
Something like Sean's a crook or something's written on the bottom.
I did, yeah.
All right, for my, I guess, review or statement or otherwise. One, again, I apologize for being late. But besides that, just looking back and listening, we had a financial loss this year, which we're doing a lot better than the provinces. So based on the whole circumstance,
That's not pretty.
it's not such a terrible thing, but it's not sustainable. We're in a better position to steer it the right way than they are in the government. Another thing to keep in mind, when I listen and hear what's going on, I was thinking as I was driving down the road, it's only been a few short years since we went from having one summer event a year to 3, 4, and 5, and we still do our ice racing. We're doing the driving school as well. So all in all, the club is heading in the right direction. We should be proud of what's going on and what we're doing. As long as we keep heading in the right way, we're going to do fine. With the work of the social media side, getting a presence out there, it's modernizing what the club does that way. The race director has come up with theming events again, which was something that was done in the past at other places, and it kind of makes it more unique each event. It's not just another race, so that's coming up, and it all together, when you combine everything, the circumstance and where we are, we're doing fine. We should look to the future with a positive outlook because everybody's doing a good job, and it is setting us in the right course. So, outside of that, all the people up here have done an awful lot to help the club, and I appreciate what they do, and I hope you guys do as well. And outside of that, I don't have a whole lot more to say. That's it. That's all.
All right, we come to the most important part of the evening and why everybody's here.
Chevette tires.
No, we're going to do our board of election of our directors. According to the NASCC bylaws, we have to have a board of 6 board of directors that are elected for 3-year terms. Being the secretary of the club, I will inform you that Sean is staying on because he's still on his, going into his last year though, so we got to encourage him to stay on for next year. I am just entering my 2nd year now as re-elected. Linda is entering her 2nd year of her term, and Kevin also is entering his 2nd year. So we have 2 board members who have completed their 3-year term, and we want to thank them a lot, which is Rudy, our president, and Matt Bobine, our vice president. We really thank you for your service for the last 3 years, and they deserve a round of applause. So, as per the NASCC bylaws, hopefully we don't need to go to a vote, because if we do get to the vote, then it gets very tricky because we have to make sure you're an official member, but hopefully we don't need to go that far. But we do have 2 positions on our board that are open, and the current people can seek re-election by nomination if they would like their names to stand. So I will throw the floor open to nominations from the floor.
Rudy, I would like to see you stand.
So we have a nomination from Gail Turner for Rudy to stand for the board. And Uwe will second that.
And I'll accept that, thank you.
Yes,
I'll
Warner.
nominate Ryan.
Ryan Smith.
Yep.
And second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Let me just record those. Since it's official. Oh yes, sorry. I forgot to let you know that Matt has decided not to rerun for the board. He's been recently married, and we congratulate Matt on that. And he needs
Still recently married.
For the
Still
record,
re-
I have
still
to
married.
Record the attendance.
so he needs to spend more time with his lovely wife. So he's decided not to stand again.
Completely used ball tires to save more money.
Okay, so we have 2 nominations for the 2 spots. Any others right now? No? Okay.
I move nominations closed.
John Kershaw moves nominations closed. As seconder, Gail. Okay, so we're done. We have 2 nominations for positions on our board, and elected are Ryan and Rudy. Congratulations.
The absolutely most painless board elections ever.
We have a very harmonious board, so it works very well. We're going to take a quick 5-minute recess. We just need to discuss a few things within the executive positions, and then we'll come back and finish off the meeting, talk about some exciting things, and open the floor to other questions. So please mingle, have a beer, and we'll get back to you shortly.
There's no beer.
Beer's gone?
No.
Oh.
I was trying to find someone.
Disaster.
I couldn't find anybody here to
Worst
get
meeting
more.
ever.
Yes.
Gonna leave my little bit
If you don't
here.
mind. I don't know where to go. I wandered around up here. Mike wandered around. Okay, everybody take your seats, please.
Good job.
Yeah. Hi there.
No, she turned heat up. No, it's not quite tropical yet.
So, welcome back, thank you. The elected directors and incumbent, I guess the sitting directors who were not elected in, had a little meeting and decided who holds what position, which is within the club bylaws. We're not elected into a position as secretary or vice president or anything. The board decides who does what. All the what we have now is since Matt, the vice president, has stepped down, Linda Sokolak will now be the vice president. I'm staying on as the president. Sean will probably get more gray hair because he's staying on as treasurer. Kevin will keep going in his role of, I don't exactly know what we've titled him, but doing all the social media part.
Executive nerd.
Mark, who's been doing a fine job as race director and secretary. Two parts of that is, one, that's race director and secretary, which is an awful lot of a workload, and second of all, it takes a long time to figure out what a race director does. So Ryan, who is on board and wanting to get gray hair himself, is actually going to not hold a separate role, but he'll be an assistant race director secretary, so that him and Mark can work together and share knowledge and mentoring and that. So we have a backup plan in case Mark goes away to Asia for another 6 weeks.
And I'll still do the volunteer stuff as well.
Thank you. So there's your new board. Welcome.
I think the new guy should give a welcome introduction, preferably in the form of like a rhyming poem or something.
I was thinking more around the beer, but
yeah.
Okay, so at this point, I'm at a loss because I missed the beginning, so I do not know if we did anything other than reports, or if we covered any old business at all.
We talked a little bit about different things, but at this point, I think we can throw it open to anybody. Anything?
We announced the race dates too.
The race dates.
So we have the race dates. We have stuff in the works and going for the ice racing with the school.
Yeah, on that note, we already have 8 registrants for the school. So there's already 8 out of the 30 spots already taken. So if you know somebody who really wants to get in there, please get them registered as soon as possible, because it could fill up very, very quickly, and then you'd be on a wait list. So,
and we still need 30 instructors too.
There's half a dozen new Chevette guys coming out.
Yeah, well, you better get them to sign up if they need rookie packages.
So is the school rookie package all one night?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the number again, just so I can tell them?
For the cost?
Yeah.
Good question.
One thing. Have you heard about the preschool, pre-ice race school that's going on?
I saw
I saw
a stint on it, but I don't know.
I'll push more out here, but just to tell you, like, up front, like, there's a school, it's the 29th, yes, 29th here. It's not a technical thing about, at 7 o'clock, or 6:30.
It's a pre-introduction to.
Yeah, it's just. What is ice racing?
Go over what a whole day of ice racing is like, how to go about building your car.
Where to find cars, who's selling cars.
The guys that I'm talking about all have cars.
Okay.
And are.
Okay, yeah, it's that, and then it's basically how the day is structured, how the licensing works, what you do when you arrive, like what the time frames are, so that you don't just show up and like, oh, we have to race in 10 minutes, and oh, there's a meeting here, and then
don't cover that on the school.
Yeah, there is, but a lot of it, we touch on it, but a lot of the stuff, people like to ask a lot of questions. And when we did the school last year, and Barry can attest to this, we ran out of time very, very quickly on the classroom session, because there's so much to cover. So, and the purpose of that is not just ice racing, it's winter driving too. So there's just so much material to cover.
So in a nutshell, we have the preschool, if you will, which is sometimes fitting. And you've just said dates, and that's free to attend for anybody who wants to, I understand?
Yes, and then there's hopes in the works to do in December, if we can find a venue and we can get all the equipment required to do a tire building night with, if we can get a tire shaver and have all the hardware there and to together as a group with a bunch of people show how to build the tires so that it removes another
fall
barrier.
under new business. Jeez, you're screwing up the order. So anyway, the original question was the cost.
Yes, cost
Right.
of a rookie race package is $580, which includes your race school, which is $170, your club membership, which is $70, 5 events, and so overall you will save $190 on the whole season by signing up for the rookie.
Lac-La-Biche is separate.
Separate, but you will save $190 by signing up for that package.
That's everything though, right? That's
Everything.
the registration for the
Everything.
race events, you don't have to pay nothing more for that?
Except for Lac-La-Biche.
How
Except
about
for Lac-La-Biche.
WCMA license?
And the WCMA license, yes.
What's that?
For basic license, $50, is it?
I don't
No,
remember.
it was 100.
No, that's an
No.
amateur is 100.
And what happens if the
75.
weekend doesn't run?
They will get reimbursed. I have a caveat in there that says a maximum refund will only be $340 because they could work the numbers to their favor, so I had to put a maximum limit in there of $340.
Another point or question on this ice race school, which ties in. This year we've changed the price structure. Was that mentioned?
Yeah, the price has increased on the school to $170, $200 with an early bird discount of $30. So it's $170 if you register before December 12th.
So for the rookie package, that
It's
discount,
That's included.
that's included the
and it's
discount.
increased the discount from $140 to $190.
Okay. One question I had, I was just curious on it because I was looking a bit. Is there online or otherwise a format or a structure of what the school is? Okay, I didn't see it when I was searching, so I saw the post about the school.
Yep.
So to try and get new people if it's there. And
Yeah, on an encouraging note, we do have 2 people already signed up for the rookie package, and they both be racing bolted tires this year. So that's
And this covers all Chevette entry races?
yeah, yeah, whatever we decide.
Barry, you had a question?
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody, especially the instructors, to go on to Motorsport Reg and register. It doesn't cost you anything, and it certainly gives me an opportunity to find out who's there and do some planning. So all instructors, please go on Motorsport Reg and register as an instructor. And as I said, it costs you nothing.
But for anybody who's a driver or an official, you have to renew your license because that's on calendar years, if I recall. So you have to remember to do that.
Is it
as
open
well.
for registration?
It should
Yes,
be.
yes,
It
the
should be.
membership you set up, right?
Membership is open for
Yeah, but
registration.
WCMA for.
I don't think it is
I
yet.
have it set to start accepting registrations on December 1st, but we might open that earlier.
I think you might need to
Nothing
open
good
that
for
earlier.
And that kind of thing, but it's all set up and ready to go. You can see the 2018 registrations. I just put them up yesterday on Motorsport Reg.
Yeah, we always have trouble getting people to get their license, so the sooner the better, and I can send out some notes to
Sure.
try and get them.
Yeah, I'll just confirm with Sue that we're ready to go, and I can open it up anytime. So, yeah.
And that's, officials too need licenses in certain positions. So we have our ice racing, we have our dry track racing dates set after much banter. Another item that is up, that's on our dates, is there's been some discussion back and forth about acquiring for a cost a tire shaver, which Linda has found someone with a cost of $700.
At the last meeting, somebody pointed out that there was one that existed in Saskatoon, so I made 2 phone calls today and found it. And they're willing to part with it for $700.
Why
So
is
Sean's,
this not on the truck already?
yeah, Sean's,
What are we even talking about here?
Yeah.
Seriously. Communication is the key, Michael.
Yeah.
yeah.
So That's a capital expenditure.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
It's gonna come into the profit.
Cover loss.
But you can charge, can't you charge
Why
what
you
you
spend
spend
your money?
Yeah.
Is there a for people who do that? Like Gubay said, is there a cost involved for people?
Well,
who
first
do
of all, we'd have to get the machine and make sure it does the work that it says it can do. I think it will do. Kevin has talked about we have to get a designated operator for the machine. We can't have people cutting their fingers off of this thing, so we'd have to come up with some sort of a cost. Yes, but I think Ken Staples was at the last week, and he said the people that did it for him charged $5 a tire.
No. 25.
25.
They were 20 years ago, they were 15 a tire.
25.
Okay, so I mean, like that's the price, right?
The machine we could
do
pay it off pretty quickly, and then there's a community need I've already talked to, like some of the off-road groups and stuff like that wreck their tires, and even some of the like dealerships here that have to do matched tire sizes for all-wheel drive systems, and people don't want to buy 4 new tires because they have a bad tire. So there's lots of opportunities. There's no one that does it here. So
Kevin, you had my understanding is you had volunteered to operate this machine.
yes, this for the sake of getting the ice racing stuff. Yes, like without delay, you can get the stuff done, cut by me. Is like I offer that to be available for that. For the other stuff outside of that, it might have to wait or whatever.
But we need to get this
how do we get it here?
machine as soon as
Sean's gonna
possible.
call
Check
him
it out.
tomorrow.
Okay, so
Gotta put it on a truck. Mike, you have anything stuff going back and forth to Saskatoon? Does anybody have any people that deal with the truck between here and Saskatoon? No. Okay.
I would 9 Rosie, whatever, grab one.
Yeah.
I'm working with a guy who I think's going home this weekend to Saskatoon. I can ask him.
Yeah, we're not sure how big it is right now, so.
Or how much it weighs. Yeah.
Would he have a welding truck with a rig in the back of it?
No, I think he's got a
Pickup truck?
truck.
We'll get it shipped.
Yeah, you don't want to run it open air, salt covered. No.
And, okay, and the tire building pre-race racing school, I told you before, Kevin, I had offered to donate the space for that. Put the tire building school on, you're gonna have that tire building clinic or whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah, I just hope like
Workshop.
once all the pieces fall for the resources to do it, I'll put the announcement on Facebook and push out the ads. But I'm looking for not just after the first week of December. I wanted to actually have 2 separate schools, but it's not going to work out, so we're just going to have one.
We'll get that machine moving tomorrow.
So
Yeah, and as far as the hardware for the bolted tires, I ordered another unit of 1,500 bolts and washers and nuts. So we have enough right now to cover us through the whole year and some more, depending on what the Chevettes want to do. So I think I have enough to cover everything for the whole year, but if the Chevettes want to use bolts in their tires, I may need to order another 1,000 units. So, but like I said, it's fantastic service, shipped to my door within a week. So,
And the cost was,
I have the costs of them. They're very, very reasonable.
club subsidized. the
Club
cost.
subsidized is half of the cost of the hardware.
And,
Why?
What's that? Why?
So
Just try to
shaping,
encourage people to get back in bolted tires.
It's expensive. I think they're $2. Works out about $2.
It works out to $1 per unit, so $1 per nut, bolt, and washers.
the cost or subsidized cost?
So $240 per car, right?
yeah, and that's
Cheap
like,
part of racing.
well
Well, the thought was we make a few bucks on ice racing, and we didn't mind putting some money back into the club to help people. We're trying to, it's the lower end of racing, we're just trying to make it more affordable, get more people in the door. That was the thought process.
Yeah, the
behind
third
subsidizing.
process was you build an ice race car, you get involved in ice racing, and then that translates into a summer race car, hopefully. So.
When I was talking to Yogi in Saskatoon, he pointed out that they haven't been ice racing there for about a dozen years. And there are people there who still have cars that they might be interested in selling, so Yogi's gonna check on that too.
We'll bring them back as well.
Gonna need a
Bigger
bigger
truck.
They could always come out here and actually
Race,
Yeah.
It's not far.
We could probably even arrange for a place where we leave their cars here.
Yeah.
For the duration of the season, they just zip back and forth.
No, we need it. It'd be better to have the cars only people here.
Okay, so we've got tires under control. Was there any further on the Chevette tires?
Yeah, so I just did have one more question with that. So the tires, since they're being shaved, there's no spec tire, we can use whatever carcasses we want for it then?
Correct.
It's just the limit is just on the number of,
Yes,
number of
it does.
spikes
The
then.
one thing the guy with this
rules-
machine pointed out to me is it's only built with a 4-bolt flange. So if you're running a car that has a 5-bolt pattern, you're gonna have to take your tire and put it on a 4-bolt rim to get it shaved, and then put it back on your rims.
Oh, okay, so we need.
We can figure something.
I know a guy.
You have a tire machine, right?
Yeah,
We're making it
Jim,
out there.
on that subject though, the recommendation is to use brand new tires.
Yeah, oh, okay.
And I think
Yeah,
that's a
but-
common recommendation because if you go to a used car tire, it's been out in the UV rays.
Stacks of half-used junk car tires.
I found
those are fine.
Those are fine.
Those are fine.
Those are fine. I'm just talking about people who go and find a 10-year-old
Oh,
tire
no,
sitting
I
out the
just
back
got
of a shop and.
I found using weight cut
going
ones
on them, and the
myself.
insides are good, so they're, okay.
The issue is, Jim, especially with snow tires, when you're cutting down or turning down snow tires, is the rocks and gravel get embedded into the tread, and it destroys the cutter.
Okay.
So we won't be turning any used tires.
Unless they're really clean.
Unless, yeah. I mean, like you said, like his used race tires would be fine because they've never been off road, never been on gravel.
But the worst bolted tires I've ever built started out in the carcasses. I bought brand new tires thinking I was gonna build the best tires ever. They were the worst ones I ever built.
Wow.
Best ones I ever built.
think
That's why
the
the specs tires, unlimited tires, and I use old tires, used tires, but they were normally treaded nuts, snow tires. They were shaved, and they were the ones I like to use mainly was Bridgestone tires. I found their steel belts are the best of all the tires. When you drill holes in them, I found when you drilled 185 holes in one tire, which we had to do when they were unlimited, the shaft itself of the drill was almost worn off. You could snap it off, you know.
Wow.
But they lasted. They were very, very strong.
That's a good point that Uwe made there. He said you can use whatever tire you want, but you want to use steel belted tires.
Yeah. Yeah. The spec, like, it's defined what type of like amount of studs like that, but like it's the ambiguity and like what you want to use. It's like I said, it's a new spec, right? So we don't know 100% what works the best. So feel free to, as long as you're within the rules, you can use that stuff.
Is that open to donut spares?
No, the spec does not.
You just said any tire. So.
No, any tire that meets our rules.
Any tire that doesn't have a T after it.
Yeah, we have like the specs set out, but we do encourage, like, if you want, you're allowed to keep a certain amount of tread on. I can't remember what the exact thing is. So like, but in the details, but some people might want to not have any tread at all on it. Might want to keep the 2 millimeters you're allowed and stuff like that. So.
And all these details are on our website?
Yeah, it's all listed there, but it's like figure out what works for you, right? It might not work. What might work with one car won't work for another car or whatever. So.
The space saver spares have been bad.
Any other questions that we need to answer on tires here versus the tire workshop? Nope.
The Chevette one?
Yeah, that was the only other thing.
We can do a tire workshop for Chevettes at Endura.
So there's an intended change to the tires.
So. We didn't get any resistance from
So I sent an email to everyone who raced the past couple of years, basically outlining proposal, and there's a sheet that's printed out, basically where we reuse the old spec tire with 16 fasteners of the new style, and you leave the tread on so it doesn't require any shaving. In fact, you're not allowed to shave.
Here's the picture of tires built if anybody wants to see it.
And it's
we did it last year.
15 to 20 minutes, start to finish, to build a single tire, $16 in hardware, and they seem to be more robust, way more robust than the street set of tires we used last year. So I sent an email a month ago, and the only response I got back was from Al Winkelmeyer. His concern was the cost and hassle of mounting and dismounting. And if we do a Chevette session at Endura where there's a tire machine, then we can, I think, address any concerns.
So if we're gonna adopt this, we should make it official as opposed to emails somewhere. And then, so that people who are running who didn't get the email know.
Sure, I didn't want to generate a big discussion for the majority of the club that's not concerned with Chevets. That's why I reached out just to the Chevet people.
Yeah. So is
I brought a proposal here to discuss further with the Chevet people, and there's one. So we'll finalize it this week.
Yeah. So if it can be finalized with whatever input you have, and then get sent back so it can be officially published. If only 2 people want to speak up, then that's their choice, right? Mike, you had your hand up?
I just wanted to touch on the appearance stuff, and this might tie in with the Endura guys, but back in the day, we used to, or you guys used to paint cars for a relatively cheap amount of money. Is that something that could happen in the future?
We're a little bit busy right now.
Yeah, I figured.
A little busy in the booth. We're kind of struggling for time, so it's a little bit limited.
What about product?
It's something we could look at.
Okay. It'd be nice to have all the cars looking as good as his, so.
Yeah.
One color would be nice.
Yeah, everybody has to paint their car blue.
Club color.
So is there any, we've discussed tires, race dates, tire shavers, or
Yes.
anything else?
Jones Bar is mandatory this year.
Yes, I want to talk about that.
Okay.
I didn't want to bore everybody, but at the last meeting, we had the long discussion about a couple of, well, the WCMA had sent out some ice race amalgamation rule suggestions, wanted some club feedback, and we had a big long discussion about it. The 2 big areas of concern were the roll cage modifications they wanted on the diagonal bar, and then also on the frontal head restraints. We had a good discussion about it for about an hour. I wrote back an email back to the WCMA giving the club's consensus on these issues. And the big one on the roll cage modification was a lot of people had already put in the north-south bar on the roll cage, and then, you know, would that be acceptable? And it's not that people are against putting in a diagonal bar, but again, the timing of it, it's probably pushing it to get it done this year, but it's highly recommended, and probably we would suggest that it be a requirement for next year for ice racing, well, everything, right? Ice racing and road racing. The frontal head restraints, we had a good discussion about that, about whether it would just be for bolted studded cars. I sent back, well, we need a better definition of what a studded car is, because Chevets would be potentially putting in bolts into their tires, and would they be classed as a studded tire? So we didn't get into details on what would be a studded tire, stud classed car, and if they would require frontal head restraints for sure. There was an email that came back, and there was, we kind of suggested again that we think it should be for next year considered, because of the timing, and also that you know, it's a huge cost for people getting involved. So we haven't finalized that, but it's getting very late in the game to be making new rule changes requiring roll cage changes and frontal head restraints. So again, it's can be highly recommended that people do wear a frontal head restraint, and that they do have a diagonal or Jones bar in the roll cage, but we feel it probably won't be instituted as a requirement for this year.
Should we not propose right now for the following year?
Yeah, we haven't finalized that with the, you know, WCMA is taking our suggestion that we wait until next year, so it hasn't gone past that stage yet. The other concern was about windows, and Jed and I talked a bit about it, and as from a club perspective, I don't think it's an issue on our side, it's more on the Winnipeg Sports Car Club side. So there hasn't been any more discussion on where we're going this year with changing any of the rules or regulations. So in my mind, the rules are as they're written on the WCMA website, and within the current NASCC supplemental regulations, which will be modified to become in line with the current WCMA regulations. Okay?
Mark, was there a reason for this rethink on that time?
Yes, there was a serious incident in Winnipeg during ice racing last year where
When ice racing?
yeah, a car rolled and there was a roll cage failure and crushing where the driver suffered some crushed vertebrae. And it had to do with the front driver's left A-pillar being crushed. So the thought is with this diagonal roof bar, it'll add some structure in there. And there
Why
was,
would somebody think a diagonal roof bar is gonna fix that?
It wasn't
well,
the only.
that wasn't the only thing. There was actually an A-pillar reinforcement bar suggested, which is a huge change. We had a lot of concerns about ingress and egress with an A-pillar bar in there. An A-pillar bar would have solved that, but it opens up a whole can of worms about, you know, would that be, how do you get it in there, how do you weld it, all of these types of things in existing cars. So the way they were kind of leaning was there would an A-pillar reinforcement bar would be only required for new cage builds, not for existing car cage builds.
You're talking an FIA bar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, John.
But remember that the rule says it has to do with the inclination of the windshield.
We haven't seen anything
Because
in writing, so I don't know what.
The windshields that we're dealing with are basically upright, so they don't require.
Well.
And what we're talking about then is that bar, which we don't need, but the other one is a Jonesy bar, because when the car goes over, the roof comes down. And that's why the Jonesy bar was.
But they're saying the Jones bar is north-south, and there's a diagonal.
The diagonal one's brutal though, if you have any headroom issues, man, it's
You're not
horrible.
putting a diagonal bar in a Chevette. There's no way you're gonna put that in there.
There's no room, it's
You
gonna
can put a
be
vertical across, but.
Well, what is the
Head
function?
there, exactly.
I mean, if you have a
Dangerous.
lateral bar going front to back, I would say that give you more support, the roof coming down. Then why do you say that? It comes from.
Because the two bars going left to right will get pushed out, and the bar in the middle will just break its welds and pop out.
Well, if the cage is properly built, it should not move.
If it's properly built.
Mark has a bunch of experience with this. When Paul rolled and hit that bank, it pounded the roof of that car halfway down the
And I
car.
put a Jones bar in immediately. Yeah.
Right. And so all of my builds are all with that bar in there anyway, just for safety, but.
Well, I've put 2 cars on the roof.
I don't think it is. It's just a matter to keep the roof from.
John's been putting his hand up to talk.
Okay.
We
The
should.
diagonal bar stabilizes the top square.
Triangulate.
The top,
Yeah.
the top hoop.
Okay, John's
But
been
it
trying
doesn't
to.
affect its ability to right down, that's what the FAA does.
Do you wanna, we can stop the meeting and carry on with a
Yes.
off discussion about this, because it's not, as we said, it's not gonna be decided now. And from my experience, almost everybody has a different opinion as to
Well,
what's gonna work best.
I just
So-
wanna touch on the windows
so,
quickly,
yeah.
and if-
But
sorry, so-
can you hang on a sec, cause John's been waiting to say something for a minute, so go
In
ahead.
our submission with WCMA, and I think we need to keep our discussion on this short, because what we think here, WCMA is gonna come up with another idea, I'm sure. We run a vintage car, and we're not cutting the roof up on our vintage car to put a diagonal bar in. So there has to be a design that allows us to do a socketed fit or some kind of a bar onto a gusset in the corner that allows us to retrofit without a problem. Or somebody like a Chevette with no headroom access. We're limited in a Datsun as well.
This change was only referenced to ice racing at this point that I'm aware
We
of, so.
just said it was road cars as well.
Well, that was gonna be my question. Did you say that, or is this just ice racing discussion?
At this point, that's the only thing they've mentioned from what I know.
Yeah.
It's bizarre because.
No, the FIA
Have the same
A-pillar bar is for everything.
Yeah.
The diagonal bar and the Jones bar we're discussing wasn't specified but it was talking about ice racing, but I think it would be natural to include in road race cars too.
I have a question.
1 sec.
What they're saying.
Mike?
Okay, I just want to touch on the windows thing. Okay, we in every other series, it's Chump, Lemons, any of the series that we run in the lower cost cars, which cars are perfect for ice racing, and that's from that series. You have to remove all the glass. So then all of a sudden, I've got a fleet of cars where I've removed all the glass, And we're just stuck on the fact that we have to keep the factory glass in, which is brain dead. It makes no difference whatsoever. It has to go.
There is provisions to use Lexan.
Yeah, but
in
Mark,
the
come on, $2,000 in Lexan
I
to
know.
refit a car.
Yeah.
Why?
Where are you buying your Lexan?
No, time and effort.
Okay. This is all, first of all, it's WCMA conversation as to, it's not imposed or asking for input.
It hasn't been imposed yet on us, but
The glass thing is our rule. We can change it any time.
and that's what we're kind of fighting a little bit, is because we still believe it's club racing. It's
But that's
not,
what it should be. That's designed to be.
and it is club racing, and we feel we have more say in our rules than the
You're not
WCMA.
talking about racing an ice racer with no windshield in there, right?
No. A windshield. In all those other series, you keep a factory windshield in there, and you get rid of every other piece of glass. They're not going to be good for you, in a crash. So.
That's changing its construction. Sean, you wanted to say something?
I had about this, I don't want to belabor the point, but on this vertical A-pillar, the FIA bar, vertical bar, the A-pillar bar, who in this room wants to try and get me out of a Miata with that bar in there?
Me out of the neon.
That's the thing, you're gonna have to chop the car up to get the driver out.
Sean, we got stuff.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
We can easily raise
I
that
think
problem
Rudy
with
just
a heavier
volunteered.
So like when I flipped my car last year, if I had that A-pillar and bar to get me out of the car, you would have had to chop my car up.
Yeah, there are different options to the FIA pillar reinforcement. There's the A-pillar gusset bars and all kinds of different options out there. So I think
It's possible that I could roll another car, and I don't want it chopped up.
The FIA rules only require that A-pillar support for windshields of a certain rake or angle. It's not for absolutely every vehicle. Good idea where they can fit.
Can you get the number? I thought Gary Roberts measured 8-to-1, rise and run of 8-to-1, which is extremely an extreme rake.
I read the regulations, and the distance between the 2 points is going to be greater than 200 millimeters, which is 8 inches. So it's going to be basically in every car, just about, I think.
Yeah.
These are FIA regulations
Yes.
that are considered to be adopted, or
No.
the WCMA is considering adopting
Considering, yes.
for the push support.
For everybody, for all WCMA racing.
I think maybe we should get a few people together as opposed to 35 people together who can sit down and have a review this, a committee review the windows, the supports, the rollover, the frontal head restraint, everything that's in there, and then come back, because when you have an open discussion in a room like this, we can be here till ice racing is over for this year, because it's just going to go like this. So
I agree, but it's good to hear the views of the membership.
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely, it's good, but we've heard for quite a while now, so we should, if people want, we should maybe have a group together and then get some back and forth, because right now we're going in circles. Everybody's kind of saying the same thing, but from different viewpoints.
Is it possible to get any of the rules that are all regarding the same types of things from different formats?
We have that.
Put it all together in the same area and have that sent out to people. So that, and then...
It is publicly available, this document, on the WCMA forum. So if you...
And does it quote all the different rules?
Yes, it has all the different changes. No, this is specific to what they want, looking at making changes to their regulations. It doesn't talk, it just mentions the FIA A-pillar and the diagonal roof bar. It just talks about it. It doesn't have all the details. Is that what you're looking for, Steve?
Like if somebody could
Yeah.
get the details.
I had to go search myself, and that's where I found out this 200 millimeter, this 8-inch spec. You have to go search it. And this is where I started, when I started searching for that, I found out there's a whole bunch of different options to this FIA A-pillar. There's where you reinforce the A-pillar to the roll cage, and a bunch of different things you can do. So, that's where I started looking at it. Yes, Barry?
I have a problem with what Rudy just said, in terms of having a committee. We've got a room here and everybody's got a view that's legitimate.
Yeah, I agree.
So my proposal would be that one of you guys, we have an agenda for one of our meetings that has nothing, that's the only thing that's gonna be on it, is this discussion. You lead the discussion by saying, here's what the rules are, now let's have the discussion. I don't really believe in targeting one or two or three people in a committee to go ahead and do this. Let's hear from people.
And I think you're absolutely right, Barry, because I'm struggling with this because it sounded like they wanted to get it in this year, and I said there's no bloody way we can get this done this year. We haven't had, nobody understands what's really required. Nobody understands, what the regulations are. You have to have that and have a formal discussion, and that takes 6 months. So, at the earliest we could be targeting is next summer's road racing, and the earliest for ice racing would be 2019, right?
I sat through the discussion at the AGM.
Yeah.
And exactly the same thing came up. Everybody wasn't sure what was going on, nobody had the specifics. So all I'm asking is that, let the club do it. Let's do it as an agenda for a meeting.
I agree.
So what I was trying to get at, and don't get me wrong, is because we're not sure what it is, what happens is we're not clear, but everybody is discussing what we're not sure about right now. So Mark has found some of the information. I've read through the emails, and they are hard to determine if they're saying do it now or do it later. But we need a few people who are dealing with that on a regular basis, who can read it, come back and say, here's what this is actually what they're proposing, and then you can have a better discussion. They can give some input, but if we just, right now, we're not clear on what we're debating, if you will, because the information that we have now is vague.
So, taking both ideas, which are actually good, because I agree with Barry and Mark, and I like what you said too. Why don't we in the next while get a sort of a steering committee together to look into this, get all the details and everything sorted out without making a decision, just get all the facts, and then make it a major agenda item at one of the subsequent club meetings later in the winter, because you're not going to do it for next year anyway.
You hit it right on the head, Nelson, because we're blindsided at the WCM AGM when this came out. There's no discussion about it. How do we know? We show up that day and all of a sudden it's on the table.
And then people like John make a good point, you're not going to cut open the roof of a fucking nice vintage car. You're just not going to do it. So you better come up with another idea or some way that it's going to work.
Are you saying it wasn't on their agenda?
No.
Well, it was on somebody's agenda, but nobody knew.
It was not on paper. Let's say, we know they have a racing workshop, but there's no agenda to say this is what we're going to be discussing, FIA pillars, this, that. It's just we're having a racing workshop, so how do we know?
But historically, ice racing has always been a club rule, and the only thing we had to follow was basically our cage rule.
Absolutely.
And that's it. And each club, Winnipeg has a different set of rules for ice racing and wheeling.
Yeah.
What the WCA tried to do is, with our current race director, we are going to have this kind of rule. And I have argued against that as well. As a matter of fact, I was so much that he wouldn't speak to me about for a while.
No, I understand, but it also, we have to be conscious of safety too. These things are worthwhile doing. It's just, how much do you want to spend? How much trouble do you want to go through? And does it make you any safer, right? And certain ones of them, there's no doubt if everybody put FIA bars, they'd be safe. But in a case of a fire, trying to get out of a Miata with an FIA bar is going to be, A-pillar bar is going to be damn near impossible.
Well, has there been a problem with the rollover with the roll cage collapsing?
In Winnipeg last year, yes.
Why not? We've seen Chevettes collapse.
We've rolled many Chevettes and no bars.
I'm talking Miatas.
It wasn't a Miata, it was a Honda.
Yeah.
Well, it's different.
Did anybody check to see how thick the tubing was?
Well, Jed Harrison rolled his Mazda in Calgary a few years ago in a rainstorm, quite a few years ago in a rainstorm, and I don't think, he had some damage, of course, the car had to be redone, but there was no major...
Yeah, I officially asked for, I asked for an incident report on this crash, so I could determine whether, you know, the cage was built correctly, all the tubing, all of that, what was the rake, all of these things, and I'm told it's not available, so.
Well, I've had roll cage failure. When I rolled my car, I bent the roll cage down. My car passed tech, no problems for years. It was an old Spec 7 ice racer, so I mean, there's lots of those. Like Landon owns one right now.
Before we dive into putting in FIA bars and stuff, we should look at perhaps building them at a 120 wall instead of 095 too. Because those 120 wall cars, we've rolled how many neons?
Yeah, they
never ever. I expect those things 120 from the beginning, and they're indestructible.
Chevettes, we've rolled a bunch of Chevettes, they don't move. So far. We're also not inch and a half, we're also inch 660. Yeah. Most of the cages are.
John?
Can we table this for a future meeting?
Sure.
And move on to discuss our plow truck?
Sure.
And then we need to reload.
Yeah, it is getting on. So.
Give me another check.
So.
Sean's getting another beer first.
It's going to be a little hard to swallow.
Well, just
20 grand before we even start.
Mark, can you research at least a little deeper as to what that's all saying? I know you read.
Yeah,
quite a
no,
bit.
right, and I'll work
And then
out.
and then create, if you will, a summary that can be brought up for discussion that
Sure.
has more correctly what WCMA is trying to accomplish.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, so next one, which was mentioned, is the truck. John?
Yes. Okay, our plow truck is on its last legs, limping, hobbling, and wheezing. So it's at Sean's right now, Sean?
Yep.
Okay, is it working?
Oh, it was last time I moved it.
Okay.
But it barely moves under its own power.
Okay.
Needs a transmission.
What is really wrong with it?
It's old.
It's been beaten
No, but
up.
what is really wrong with it?
It needs money even to diagnose stuff.
Yeah.
It's just becoming a giant pit.
Well, it's a 2002 diesel truck with an Allison transmission in it. Turbo diesel with an Allison transmission. So it's $1,000 to get somebody to look at it. I would say the transmission probably needs to be rebuilt. It's got 400,000 kilometers on it. Do we want to spend money on that truck, or do we want to replace it?
But it still runs.
Still runs, yes. But
Takes power.
after you let it warm up and you do a few things, you coax it along, and eventually it can plow the racetrack.
And you can't see. No, but does it just need a couple injectors, or is it?
No.
So it doesn't want to go until it's really fully warmed up?
Yes.
Hey guys,
Where'd the
that's only
400,000
one
kilometers
problem
come
with the
from?
truck.
It has the truck's wore out.
Yeah, you can't see out of it because the defrosters don't work. There's a bunch of things wrong.
Right now, we're not.
Is it just take a heater fan, or what?
No, it's been modified, chased, and it is,
You got a heater core and a fan.
there's a whole bunch of plastic around it that's wrong.
Yeah, but you also, in those 2002 diesels, you've got a fair bit amount of computer capacity in there that runs all that venting and heating and. It's no 2, I think.
If anybody wants to have a look at it, I can drive it in the warm and knock your socks off. I tried to fix it, I can't. I bought some replacement controls for it, some replacement, it was just the one problem with the heater, HVAC we're talking now. So finally got it so it plugged up some vents and got it to defrost. But it needs somebody who knows what they're doing to go through it to repair the HVAC system, repair the cracked manifold on the turbo, and rebuild the transmission. In my humble opinion, it needs $25,000 of work.
We could probably get a used tranny somewhere.
Okay.
Probably gonna use
I don't know. This has been discussed quite a bit. The decision was taken that the club needs to be replaced. We can probably get by with the club, the truck as it is, without spending a pile of money on it for probably this season, probably next season, but in the near future, the truck is just gonna die. And we have to decide if we're gonna put money into it or if we're gonna get a replacement.
But we've had it 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm. And it was donated.
It's a good run.
Graciously donated by Beulah. I mean, it's amazing. And I asked Kevin if he had another truck to give us, and he said nothing that he would donate. Wouldn't inflict the club with it. You know, because he doesn't want to put a bunch of financial burden on the club. So he just sent it to the auction. I know John has been looking, Colin's been looking, there are plow trucks available. But,
Is the plow okay? Can it be moved?
plow trucks, well, I rebuild the plow every year, cause it needs to be rebuilt, the wings are busted, or the fittings are broken, or the skids are off it, it's been welded. I've had to take it before every season, I take it in the shop and repair all the damaged bits. John comes out and goes through all the electrical and rewires it every year to keep it going, not rewires it, but the connections get corroded, the connections get broken. It doesn't have a easy life. So we do need to replace our plow truck. Donation was the best way to acquire one, but we approved a budget of 15 grand the last time for a plow truck. At the last meeting was approved for $15,000 expenditure. I'm opposed to spending any money. If we can rent a plow truck or pay someone to plow the racetrack, I'm more for doing that. My personal choice would be to pay somebody to do it rather than invest $15,000 in a new truck. Because once you buy it, you got the ongoing maintenance costs. So.
Is there anybody in that neck of the woods that you might know, Colin, who would do it? I mean,
John had sourced someone to plow the road.
Yeah, I've got a tractor about a mile away from the track who will plow the access road.
but not the track.
Well, we haven't got that discussion. I don't know how big his tractor is.
Oh.
I'm not sure we'll put it on the ice until we know how much ice we got.
We have a place to keep something though, if we were to get a vehicle that could sit there for the season and then disappear at the end, you could sit in the yard, farmer's yard.
Yeah, well, Colin, that's where that's typically where the equipment sits in between races.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're good with Roy,
So does-
he'll let us park all season.
Okay.
I have a couple of contacts that we approach to assist us with plowing. And if you want, I'll take a serious run at them to see what they would charge us to plow out a track.
Like the old Oofy joke goes, if she dies, she dies. Then we gotta do something, right?
Well, if it dies in the middle of the race event, we're who?
Cancel event, yeah.
Barry?
Yeah, I had two questions, and the first one was just, it was discussed. Do we have a backup if this thing dies? That's the first question. The second question is, or point is, we use that truck all year.
Yeah.
That truck's used on all race meets in the summertime.
Yeah.
It goes to Lac La Biche and back hauling the trailer.
It's not gonna like this anymore.
So basically, that being said, we need a truck.
Along the lines of the plowing, there's a person who's recently reached out to the club who's interested in becoming a racer, but he's also pointed out that he has lots of heavy equipment operating experience, and his name is Ethan Marchand, and I think he's planning on coming to the next meeting, or maybe even the ice race preschool. So this guy might have some connections for us for plowing opportunities as well.
In past years, I brought my plow truck to the track and I blew it up trying to get out to a race last year with trying to tow my trailer, my car, the plow on the truck and all the load that goes with it. I blew a truck up trying to get out there. So last year the backup was to use my plow truck. Now we have down to a die club truck.
So we need to find a contractor and or a truck.
Yeah.
That sounds like we need a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a truck.
It's just a matter of
Barry?
Just to put some context here, when I was plowing the track, we used a contractor to do it, and it was between $800 and $1,000 every time we had a tractor on or a machine on the ice.
That's an expensive weekend.
Because you have to plow the track, the pits, everything, and it took a whole day.
Yeah, the building of the road, the access road, and Mike knows, that's what takes the toll, and Colin, I mean, that's what takes the toll on the equipment, is building that road. The initial push into the track is the hard, it takes the biggest toll on the equipment. If we get the road plowed in.
Moving banks.
Pardon?
Or moving banks.
Yeah. We went and looked at a snowcat, Richie's, John and I spent a day over Richie's looking at snowcats. They had a herd of snowcats, probably 50 of them out there, which they all sold for more money than we could afford. And
Those big silver ones over there.
but they looked like the maintenance on some pretty complicated hydraulics on those things, and maintenance costs bumped in the quarters.
So,
So the truck plows that I've talked to, one, they have contracts, so if it snows on Thursday, we ain't gonna get them. Two, they're typically looking for $100 an hour to come out and play with us.
and it's hard because they're gonna be sitting there because we don't necessarily plow at 11 and 2 and 4.
That's right, they're gonna be sitting there and they're gonna have to enjoy while they're racing, and they plow for 2 hours a day.
I mean, I offered to donate my old truck to the club, and the club wants it, they can have it, but you have to fix the engine in it. And I'll leave the plow on it. What is it? It's the old green truck that we used, that we plowed the truck with track, ice race track for the past 4 years, but
What would it cost to fix that?
no idea, not much. It's a 1998, a couple grand probably. But again, you put money into an old.
Yeah.
And that's not, you wanna be utilizing that V plow because, you know, the straight plow is
Still
good.
need a V
but
plow.
the V plow is the only way you're rounding
Need
in
two.
banks.
You need
So,
two.
Yeah.
Colin?
And the other thing is that we keep preparing the track also for the weeks that we don't run, that the rallycross guys are running too. So ideally, we need another truck.
Yeah.
Would we dare consider an old $3,000 sander truck with a V plow on the front? Like the highway trucks? Because those go through Mitchie's and Mitchner all the time for
We've been looking
dirt cheap.
We've been looking.
How heavy?
Like a 5-ton single axle with a sander on the back, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You see them all the time go for nothing because they're usually rotted out or something.
You're gonna put that on 14 inches of ice though.
Well, it doesn't weigh nothing. They're not heavy. Lots.
I looked at
They don't weigh nothing. Yeah.
something with a V plow. I mean, we have the plow. We need something to put it on. And the plows don't need to be replaced as well.
Didn't we discuss this at the last meeting, the 6 of us that were here, and we agreed that the budget was set and we have people that are looking?
Yeah.
So just carry on with the plan.
So
Yeah.
we just gotta find one though, whoever was looking.
Well,
Soon.
John has been looking at a lot, and he was instructed to pass them along to me for approval or to go look at, and I didn't want to do anything, spend any money till after this meeting. Given the lost position that we're in this year, I didn't want to add another, well, I guess we're into the next financial year now, but I didn't want to add another $15,000 to the $18,000 loss we're already looking at.
But we are in a spot, like you said, there's no backup plan.
There's no backup.
So
Well, we need a truck,
Yeah.
winter and summer.
yeah. We can maybe get away without one in summer because of enough help, but we can't get away without one in winter for sure, so.
The next 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's amortized over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why this budget was greater than like Landon had suggested we spend, buy something for $3 or $4 grand. The thought that we're gonna have this thing for 10 years, the budget of 15,000 was approved because we expect to get 10 years of it. I mean, we're not using it to drive around, just at the race events and at the plow the lake and that.
Does anybody have anything seriously against getting up to a $15,000 truck right now?
I think you should spend more, honestly.
We allowed 15, so it's something.
I'm not opposed to financing it, I mean.
That's what I'm getting at. Why don't you just finance the whole kit and caboodle and then you got it for years, so.
But I mean, we're in a losing position, right? We're in.
But
we took 50 grand over 7 years.
But you don't want to spend that much. 15 grand is fine.
We would do 50 or 10.
You still buy old used crap is the only problem.
Yeah.
Financially, we can write a check for $15,000.
We can write a check for $15,000, no problem. So then I know we're $15,000 poorer than we are today, and $30,000 poorer than we were a year ago.
But we need to.
You should get
So,
a gas.
Hopefully they turn around.
I agree. 'Cause the only
I don't see any other option, but
I'm
nobody's there, so.
I'm just not, don't like spending money.
Yep. Oh, I know you don't. But
Scottish, right?
Jewish.
I hate saying,
Jewish Newfie.
I hate saying we can't run the race, so.
Yeah, okay.
All right, anything else?
Days a year.
No? Barry?
Okay, is this another topic or?
Yep.
Yeah, we're done the truck. Is there
I have
anything?
one topic I'd like
I
to
think for 10.
make a suggestion to you guys.
Nice gas truck for sure.
We have 2 meetings a month, correct?
Yeah.
And one is a quote business type meeting,
Yes.
and the other one is something else.
Yeah.
My request to you guys, as part of the executive, is that for every meeting, we have an agenda. And you put it on the website, what we're going to talk about in that meeting and what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We did this, or somebody did this a couple of times last year, and I found it exceedingly useful, informative, and I came relatively well prepared rather than just shooting from the hip.
I think earlier tonight, Kevin actually volunteered to take on that task.
Yeah, we tried in the last, like, the agenda for today was the AGM, right? So like the standard thing, but we tried the last meeting to have agenda, it worked pretty well. And then also to go back to the, having the business meeting is the business meeting and the social meeting is the social meeting, so.
So one of the ideas, or one of the thoughts I had in relation to the social part of the meeting is if somebody can take a couple odd notes, because topics come up, there's points, whether it be tires or construction or new truck or otherwise, items come up and those can come back to the executive. So for the business meeting, if they're just armchair racing, they're one thing, but if there are points to be brought up, they can be put into an agenda of new business that wasn't there. So that's kind of the hope out of having that informal meeting as well.
So we still want a room for the social meeting?
We were just meeting in the, you had a spot, right?
The pit of despair.
Well, because yeah, I assumed we're canceling the third week.
Room rental.
Yeah.
Yeah, and go over there.
Yeah.
So we're meeting in the lounge.
Yeah. Just sitting around having a beer.
It doesn't have to be that lounge, we could do the lounge,
Yeah.
we're choosing.
Yeah. Anyway.
Some a little more atmosphere wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
How about, just a thought, how about having something on the south side for the social meeting and this side for the...
Yeah. You can move the social one around if anybody's got suggestions or ideas. There's nothing wrong with presenting that, saying, hey, let's meet over here. Support our NASCC, Blackjacks, excuse me.
Typically there's only a half dozen people show up to it anyway.
Yeah. So there, you know, it doesn't always have to be here or there or there. That can move around. There's nothing wrong with that. So if anybody has ideas, come forward with them. John.
Okay, remember, we're getting a very reasonable rate for the access of this room.
Very reasonable.
So we need to turn around and support our host.
Yes. So if it makes more sense to meet here and have an informal and bring the beer in and
No, I'm saying we meet in their.
Yeah, oh, and their
facilities
yeah.
in the lounge.
Good point.
Give
Yeah.
them a little bit of money and help them out.
We should do a meeting at Blackjack at some point.
Yes.
Or at a public meeting there.
Oh, we do the Friday night registration thing.
Yeah. In the summer we were there.
Yeah.
So Barry, yes, we are trying that, and that it's just transitioning over and trying to make that so that it's not just a stop. The same point, if you have anything, send a note in so that we can put it on the agenda and get whatever information is needed ahead of time. Do we have anything else?
The ice race specific meeting is, what dates again? It's a month now?
Well, it'll be the December 6th. We'll set that as the ice race specific one. And I'll get an agenda together for that.
But the first Wednesday of every month will be the official meeting.
Yep.
Yes.
Here, so.
And we could try over here, like the downstairs lounge, I don't particularly care for it, but there's another lounge over here that's upstairs, which is better lit than.
Kind of quieter.
Yeah.
And you can't play tricks.
Ah.
But I mean, we could go there.
Yeah.
How can we have a meeting without the cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching,
So anyway, that's that. If there's nothing else, let's call it a night. And thank you all for coming out. Appreciate it. And we'll perhaps see you in the lounge in a couple of minutes. Thank you again. Rudy, yes.